everybody. Great day to you. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Sister Modupe, and this is Sister Modupe's Raw Vegan Soul Food Show. I am thrilled to have you in the house, and today, let's just call it, today is going to be a sweet, sweet day, okay? I don't have my fruit, but I do have my nutritional drink, so you're going to see me maybe sipping a little bit on that today. All right, so today is going to be a sweet, sweet day. You know why that is? Because we're going to be talking about sugar. I know you got a hint, right? We opened up today with brown sugar. And the reason we're talking about sugar is because I want you to have a super fantastic year this year, 2016, right? 2016. And life is sweet. But that depends on the choices we make. So today I want to talk about sugar so that you know how to make the best choices. You can still have a sweet life. Things can still taste great, but you need to understand what sugar is about and what it's not about, okay? So, like I said, everybody wants a sweet life, right? Brown sugar, da-da-da-da. But we don't want to hear the word sugar and associate it all the time with eating sweet, sweet things. And the reason being is that they're not so good for our body. And to have a sweet life, that means sweet relationships, sweet success, sweet memories, all that type of thing. But we don't want to keep associating sweetness and joyfulness with eating sugary, added sugar kinds of things. We want to associate it with eating things like papaya and watermelon and peaches, right? Not cake and cake and cake and pie and pie and pie and candy bars. But some of the surprising things I'm going to share with you today is how sugar is hidden in so many foods, places you would totally not expect it. And the average American used to eat not much sugar in a year, say years and years ago, but now some people eat their weight. I'm talking about over 100 and some pounds of sugar a year. Believe it or not. Like I say, it's hidden in many things you just wouldn't expect at all. Let's look at a video real quick and see. Now remember this. I'm going to give you a little bit of information. I want you to keep this in mind as you watch this video. 1 teaspoon of sugar is about 4 grams. So in every 4 grams of eating something sugary, there's a teaspoon of sugar, a whole teaspoon. Now some of us are a little conscious these days and we think, oh man, I don't sit around spooning teaspoons of sugar in or on things. But you just watch this. I got some surprises for you. Let's roll. All right. Did you get shocked or what? Did you see that thing for the baked beans? Now remember I said every 4 grams of sugar is equal to a teaspoon. So some of those things had more than 10 teaspoons of sugar. That's right. And do you know where a lot of the sugar comes from for those sandwiches, those McChicken sandwiches things come from? Do you know where a lot of that salt comes from? The bun, the bread, has the majority of that sugar. Now remember, everything for taste is about balance, right? So did you see the thing where it was talking about the low-fat dressing? Did you see it had 3 or 4 times as much sugar as the regular dressing? So if they take the fat out, They got to put something in there to balance that flavor, right? Because otherwise you're like, ugh, yuck, don't want it. That's the same thing with yogurt. If you look at the low-fat yogurt, it has way more sugar in it than the regular yogurt, right? Because they've reduced the fat. They got to give you some kind of mouthfeel, some kind of way to make it tasty. Because people are thinking about what? Taste all the time, not nutrition. So this is the real thing with sugar. Okay, wait a minute. Let me shock you some more. Roll that second video. Okay. Are you enough in shock? Okay, come on back with me now, all right? So we really have to read labels, right? Because unless you just peeling a banana and you know what's in it because you just took it out of its natural casing, you have got to become very aware of what you consume. And the reason is because sugar, they put sugar in everything. Barbecue sauce, your salad dressings, everything. Sugar is everywhere. Okay, so what's the big brouhaha about not eating sugar? Well, in that last video, you saw one thing, right? It destroys your teeth. It's very acidic. And your body pH, your blood is buffered. It's a little, just slightly alkaline and such. And so for your body to stay alkaline, it's just slightly alkaline, not acidic, not totally alkaline, your body will do whatever it takes to balance out the acidity from like eating things like sugar. And I'm talking about added sugars, not the good sugars that naturally occur in things like fruit, right? So when you eat that added sugar, it makes your body acidic, starting in your mouth with your teeth. It will dissolve your teeth. Have you ever heard of the experiment where people take a baby tooth, they put it in a glass of Coca-Cola, you come back, that tooth is gone. Do you hear me? It's dissolved like acid. Yes, sugar makes you acidic inside. And an acidic environment is, number one, it's deteriorating. It's like rusting you from the inside out. And the other thing is that it's very hard on the body, right? It's not good for the organs. And what will happen is that to keep buffering that acid that you put in your body will start leaching your bones. It will draw calcium from your bones to buffer, to make more alkaline, keep your blood and your system alkaline, because otherwise, can you imagine fish swimming in acid? Not going to work. Can you imagine your organs trying to exist inside of you and there's an acid situation inside? Not good, right? The other thing why there's a big problem with sugar is that your body, to digest food, to get that energy from out of the blood into the cells to use as energy, your body has to make sure to convert that material, right? And too much sugar at one time throws the body out of balance. Your pancreas releases insulin to help take that sugar from out of the blood and such into the cells. Well, when you eat a lot of added sugar, when you eat added sugar, period, it causes a spike. The body is going to have to all of a sudden try and deal with this concentrated form of nothingness. Now that's the other point. Why am I calling sugar nothingness? Okay, let's think about it. What vitamins do we get from processed sugar? 0. How many minerals do we get from processed sugar? Essentially 0. Okay, you're not getting any enzymes because that beautiful sugar cane that they crush, get the juice out, they have to boil that to make sugar and then process it further to make it into sugar crystals. The same with beet sugar, and you don't want beet sugar anyway because beets, unless they're organic, they are one of the most GMO'd crops out there. Okay, so wait a minute, did I say you're not getting any nutrition from the sugar? Why are you eating it? So not only are you not getting any nutrition, it's very destructive to the body. Okay? Now, I've already shown you a lot of places where it's hidden. So if you're not careful, you're eating sugar all day long. You start out with your cereal in the morning. You think that's great, right? But if it's coming out in a box, look at how much sugar is in it on the label. The same thing with yogurt. I'm going to kind of touch on some typical things people eat for breakfast. Look at your pancake mix. Even in a cup of dairy milk, there is a lot of sugar. I think there can be as many as 13 grams of sugar, right? That just occurs in the milk. That's why milk tastes sweet to people, even before you put anything in it, right? Dairy milk. So how many teaspoons of sugar is that? That is over 3 teaspoons of sugar in 1 cup of milk, okay? So your muffin, and let's not even talk about stopping for a special coffee drink. Those things a lot of them have 10 teaspoons of sugar in them. Why do you think you're craving them and going crazy for them and stuff? But remember, you zoom up and then you crash down, and that's the insulin. You're playing a really dangerous game in your body when you keep causing systems to zip up and then fall down. It gets things out of balance. It's just like if I take a tool that's meant to, say like a screwdriver. You know how some people end up using their screwdriver like a hammer? Well, guess what? You wear it out, you tear it up because you're using it in a way that it was not designed, all right? So your body is designed to take in nutrients, that means fiber, vitamins, minerals, enzymes, things like that. And sugars, yes, some sugars, natural sugars that come into the body along with things like protein, things like vitamins, minerals, fiber. That's why it's so much better to eat a whole apple than to drink a glass of apple juice. The apple juice has had the fiber removed, right? And so now you're drinking all this just essentially solid sugar because now you're just left with the simple carbohydrates, which are the sugars in the apple. The complex carbohydrate are things like the fiber that are in the apple, which slow down the absorption of sugar into the bloodstream. Things like protein. Yeah, there's not a lot of protein in an apple, but remember, I've been telling you, eat that core, eat those seeds, right? And if you got an organic apple, you eat the skin of the apple too. So all of that helps to slow down the absorption of sugars from the apple into the bloodstream, right? And plus, you're getting all these other nutrients that you need. Now, so there's a study by well, there's been a number of studies, right? Oh, one thing before I forget to tell you, you'll never guess what raises your blood sugar faster than processed sugar. Yeah, I know, I've already demonized that bowl of white sugar, a jar of sugar on the table, and there's a good reason. It's just not giving you any nutrition, plus it's very detrimental to the body, right? Remember I said the teeth, it starts rusting away, tearing up things, starting in the mouth with the teeth, and then your organs, and then your blood sugar levels, right? Okay, so you have a chance to think about what I'm talking about. It raises the blood sugar faster than raises your blood sugar level faster than processed sugar. Flour. That's right, flour. Flour is a complex carbohydrate. But by the time they take that, whatever plant they start with, whether it's wheat or barley, whatever kind of flour you're consuming, By the time they grind it into a fine powder, and they've gotten rid of the hull, the brown part, the outer laying, the bran, it is now something that enters the bloodstream with no nutrients and raises that blood sugar really quickly. So remember, I talked about the fact that some people are at the top of every list that nobody wants to be on, all the detrimental health lists, right? Where you've got diabetes and cancer and heart disease, on and on. Well, it's from eating the wrong foods, the wrong qualities of foods, and even food combining, which I'm going to do a whole show on, right? So just think. Now, I said flour will raise your blood sugar faster than processed sugar. So let's think of a food or a class of foods where they're both in there and together at the same time, right? So that would be what? Baked goods, flour and sugar, whether we're talking about cakes or pies or whatever. There is flour and sugar there in great concentration, and you're consuming it together at the same time. That's why sometimes, you eat a piece of cake and all of a sudden you're like flying like you're high or something like that, right? Because you've consumed two things that raise the blood sugar very quickly, which means insulin had to be rushed out from the pancreas, and now the body's just in a tizzy. And unfortunately, that tizzy is sometimes the stimulation that people feel they need to get through the day, to wake up in the morning and things like that. But like I say, it's very destructive to the body. And it is said that sugar itself does not cause diabetes. It's a combination of eating a lot of things that unbalance and damage the body. Now, I mentioned diabetes. Years ago, I can remember when diabetes was never preferenced without, do you remember this, sweetie? When people used to call it sugar diabetes. Right. Now, people don't call it sugar diabetes now as much. The older folk might call it sugar diabetes, right? Because everybody thought it was just sugar. But it's not just sugar. It's the white flour. It's the white rice. Because those things, again, raise that blood sugar, spike that insulin. And when that you become damaged, the body, let's talk about diabetes. The body no longer is able to process sugar. The pancreas, the insulin levels just can't keep up any longer, and you get where the body is making damaged cells. The membranes of your cells are what receive the sugar out of the blood into the cell to use for energy, right? And when I say sugar, I'm talking about glucose. That's what the body converts things like grains and fruits and all those types of things. It breaks it down chemically to make something called glucose. And then that's what the body uses for energy. But that glucose has to be removed from the blood, transported into the cell. And it has to do that through the cell membrane, the wall of each of your trillion, however many trillion cells our body's made up of. So a lot of people are told, well, you're pre-diabetic, which means you're diabetic. And when you're diabetic, a lot of people don't truly understand what that means, right? So the doctor will say, watch what you eat. But if your body has told you it can no longer process sugar, why are you still eating sugar, right? So again, when the body is in a diabetic state or condition, which can easily be reversed, the body is now making damaged cells which no longer are able to receive the glucose out of the blood into the cell through the cell wall to be converted into energy, right? So one thing that you've got to do is give up all the processed sugars if you're diabetic until your body can handle sugars. And I'm not saying go back to the processed sugar. I'm saying to now you may slowly be able to introduce natural sugars to the body. Maybe you're able to eat a half apple once you get this reversed. But remember, to reverse these kinds of things, it will take nutrition. It will take extra nutrition, because now you're not in maintenance mode. Once you get this kind of condition, you are in repair mode, okay? So understand, you cannot keep doing the same thing the same way, or even maybe kind of the same thing the same way, and repair that condition in the body where the body is no longer making the proper types of cells, okay? So now you heard me say it, but I want you to make sure that you understand. Go do some research. Number one, check and see how much nutrition you get in sugar. How much nutrition do you get from sugar? All right, I want you to check and see how much nutrition. You know, Sister Modupe was on her show talking about you get no nutrition sugar. Well, I'm smart. I'm intelligent, and I know that if I'm not going to consume something that gives me no nutrition, then eventually I'm going to have some consequences. So let me go and check and see how much nutrition I get from sugar. I'm talking about white processed sugar, brown sugar. Brown sugar is often just colored white sugar. And again, now you're eating a coloring on top of the sugar, right? And then I want you also to check and see the research. They are now, last year, they released some studies which talked about the fact that flour raises the blood sugar as quickly as sugar, and that these things, sugar, flour, things that raise the blood sugar and such, damage the body. People are used to only thinking about what? Obesity, problems with weight, or problems with diabetes. But guess what else this does to the body? Heart disease. That's right. That's what I said. Sugar, flour, all those things that raise that blood sugar and such like that, they cause damage to the heart. Okay, are we kind of getting the message that we need to step back from the sugar? I'm telling you. And when you need those added nutrients, remember I told you, our community is not used to supplementing, but we have a lot of conditions we need to not only reverse, but we also have to understand that we're not getting all the nutrients we need from the food we eat. That's why you see me with this all the time, because the food is not grown properly. It doesn't have the minerals in it it should. It doesn't have enough vitamins. And so we've got to supplement, right? Okay. So remember, I said that sugar, you'll find sugar in all kinds of things. Matter of fact, I had a little book here. Let's see if I can find it real quick. A lot of you may not know, but my training, my degree, my graduate degree is in library and information science. So I love information. You'll never guess one place I love to start getting information. That's right, kids' books. Okay, because they break it down in here really well, talking about what something is, how to understand it, how to begin to get an understanding, and some of the terminology and such. Well, in this little book about sugar, of course they're promoting sugar, but there's a little song people used to sing. Sugar in the morning, sugar in the evening, sugar at supper time. As if it's full of nutrition. Why would you be eating sugar all day and it's not nourishing the body? As a matter of fact, I call it an anti-nutritive. It works against nutrition, okay? It's damaging to the body. All right, so there was a part in here I wanted to say. It says, after they start talking about how wonderful sugar is, and cookies and candy, and you wouldn't enjoy dessert without it, and showing the kids at a Christmas party, a birthday party with their birthday cake, right? Think about this: when somebody's recovering in the hospital, do you take them a cake? Do you take them a cake with all that frosting? No, you don't, because you know it isn't going to help them, right? So we don't want to send them to the hospital in the first place, so we're going to understand that there are other things, wonderful alternatives to eating all that processed sugar, right? Okay, but one thing I liked, one of the paragraphs I liked in here, and so in a way they kind of tell on themselves in these books, right? So it says, however, it may surprise you to know that sugar also exists in many other foods. So they're talking about besides the cookies and candies and desserts, right? Many other foods we don't usually think of as being especially sweet, have sugar as an ingredient. These foods include salad dressings, tomato sauce, hot dog relish, right? Ketchup, barbecue sauce. So that's what I'm telling you. If you're not careful, you will be eating sugar every day, all day. Everything you pick up and consume will have added sugar into it. And so that's why now there's some people who don't think fruit's sweet enough because they're so used to that oversweetness of sugar. Okay? So let me tell you about some alternatives. Grab a piece of fresh fruit. Okay? Your favorite fruits. Always have a bowl of your favorite fruits at home. So when that sweet tooth hits you, go grab something like a banana. At least there's some fiber and some other nutrients that you're going to get with a banana. That apple, when watermelon's in season, have watermelon around. You're going to get all that wonderful naturally formed water. You're going to get all that fiber. You're going to get all those enzymes, all those good things, right? But make sure that watermelon has seeds, okay? When it's peach season, keep a bowl of fresh peaches at home. I know Georgia peaches are good. I'm going to tell you, though, California peaches are not my favorite, but I love them Georgia peaches, all right? Keep fresh, delicious foods around that can satisfy your sweet tooth. Everybody's always talking about wanting to take a little weight off. Well, grabbing that apple versus that apple pie will do you much better, okay? So, now the other thing is to use alternative sweeteners. Use them little, right? They are still sugars, but at least you will get some nutrition with them. So something like coconut sugar or coconut nectar, okay? Those are things, optional things that you can use that have nutrition and are much better for you, but still they're sweeteners. You should only be eating small amounts of them, okay? So let's recap a little bit. Read the labels. There's so much sugar in things. You saw it. Some things like some drinks, some teas, energy drinks, those things have more sugar in them than 2 candy bars, okay? Low-fat things. Just forget the low-fat stuff because, first of all, you need good fats. Second of all, they are replacing that taste of that low-fat with sugar, with sweeteners and salt. They have to replace it with something, and that's what they're doing, okay? Every time you pick up a packaged food, and I eat very few packaged foods. Matter of fact, I'm back doing my 100% raw. Woo, it feels good. I'm going through have some cleansing things, but it's a good thing. Make sure that if you are buying packaged foods, first of all, keep them to a minimum. Second of all, make sure that you can read the ingredients. As I know one man said in his book, eat only what your grandparents could eat and what your grandmother can pronounce, okay? That'll help you a lot. Look at the content of the sugar in those items. Especially, did you see in that one video, did you see that the healthy cereal had much more sugar in it than the Fruit Loops, okay? Don't get tricked. Be informed. You got to read. Make sure that you understand children are on the top of the list when it comes to diabetes. That's the largest growing group of diabetics in our community. We have to stop that. That's a travesty. I knew this little boy, and he was going for dialysis, kidney dialysis, a little boy, and he would come back so wiped out. What kind of childhood is he going to enjoy already on dialysis? Stop feeding the baby straight sugar all day, because if you analyze everything that you feed them in a day, it's probably got a ton of sugar in it, unless it's raw vegan. Okay, I got to push my raw vegan there. So check that out. All right. I love you. I want you to take care of yourself. We want to thank our sponsors. And check those labels. We want to thank our sponsors, All-in-One Press Kit. And we want to make sure that you tune in again. Sistah Modupe's live Raw Vegan Soul Food Show, bringing you the information to live better, happy, joyful, and the sweet brown sugar life, just without the sugar.
Nutritionally optimized.
Stay nutritionally optimized.